The note was on the kitchen counter, next to the half-empty coffee pot and the mug I always left out for him. Folded once, no envelope, just a single line in his handwriting, slanted and smug. Gone to start my real life. Don't contact me. I stood there barefoot, still in my robe, staring at it like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something sane, something explainable, but they didn't. They just sat there, curling slightly at the edges like they had the nerve to be casual. My name is Yvonne, and this morning, my husband of 9 years ghosted me with a post-it note and a stolen bank account. The silence in the house was louder than usual. No ESPN murmuring from the living room, no thud of his gym bag hitting the floor. I walked through the rooms like I was looking for a crime scene, and in a way, I was. His closet was half empty. The expensive suits I bought him for his promotion last year, gone. The cologne I hated, gone. His toothbrush, charger, and laptop, all gone. I opened the banking app on my phone, the joint checking account, $0. The savings, also zero. The emergency fund we'd built for rainy days, wiped clean. My hand didn't shake. I just stared at the numbers like they were someone else's problem. Then I scrolled to the transaction history, all within the last 48 hours. Transferred to a new account I didn't recognize. I sat down on the edge of the bed, the phone still in my hand. My stomach felt hollow, like it had been scooped out with a spoon. I waited for the tears, the panic, the scream, but nothing came. Not yet. Instead, I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself the last of the coffee, cold now, and picked up the note again. Gone, to start my real life. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because Alvin had no idea what he'd actually done. He thought he'd taken everything, thought he'd outsmarted me, but the accounts he emptied? They weren't what he thought they were. Not really. I pulled my phone out again and tapped a contact I hadn't called in months. "Paula," I said when she picked up, "it's time. Let's begin the recovery." Paula met me at the bank an hour later, lipstick sharp as ever, and heels that clicked like punctuation. "He really did it?" she asked, already unlocking her office door. "Every last cent," I said, stepping inside. "Idiot," she muttered, pulling up the files on her desktop. "He touched the wrong money." I nodded. "He thinks it was ours. It wasn't." Paula grinned. "Your grandmother would have loved this." I didn't smile back. "Let's just get it done." 2 hours later, the legal freeze was in place. Every cent Alvin moved was traceable, and because my inheritance had been funneled through the joint accounts under specific legal conditions, he'd just committed a very expensive mistake. Martin, my lawyer, confirmed it with a quick call. "You're protected," he said. "He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to owe you more than just an apology." I hung up and leaned back in Paula's chair. "He left me a note," I said, pulling it from my purse. Like a teenager running away from home. Paula read it, snorted, then dropped it in her shredder. "He'll be back. Men like that always come crawling." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. By the time I got home, the numbness had started to crack. I stood in the doorway of my house, and looked at everything he hadn't taken. The throw blanket I crocheted last winter, the crooked photo of us in Paris still hanging by the stairs, the coffee mug that said, "World's okayest husband." I picked it up and threw it against the wall. It shattered like a gunshot. That's when the tears came. Not loud, not messy. Just hot and steady, like my body had finally decided to react. I let them fall. I let myself sit on the kitchen floor with my knees pulled up, breathing through the ache. But even then, even in that moment, I knew this wasn't going to break me. He stole the wrong money. He underestimated the wrong woman. That night, I logged into our shared streaming account. He hadn't changed the password. Amateur. His continue watching list? A new series about digital nomads in Bali. Cute. I clicked over to his email, which he'd left open on the shared tablet. And there she was, Taylor, 29, blonde, intern at his firm. I remembered her from the Christmas party. She wore red velvet and fake surprise when Alvin introduced me as his wife. Their emails were all over the place, flirty, sloppy, plans for a fresh start, a condo in Austin. She called him A. I called him a fool. I screenshotted everything. Then I logged out, calmly, methodically. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. He'd made his move. Now it was my turn. The next morning, Paula called. "You won't believe what we caught on camera at the bank this morning," she said, barely containing her laughter. "Try me." He showed up, red-faced, sweating, screaming at the teller, said the money was his, that we had no right to touch it. And we showed him the paperwork, the video footage, the lawyer's letter. He stormed out like a toddler denied a toy. I didn't laugh. I just closed my eyes and let the satisfaction settle in. He thought he'd started his real life, but he'd just stepped into mine. I was halfway through folding laundry when Paula texted me a video clip. "Just in case you need a little joy today," she wrote. I tapped play. Alvin stood in the middle of the bank lobby, red-faced and wild-eyed, jabbing his finger at the glass partition. His voice was muffled, but the body language said everything: desperation, rage, confusion. He paced, pointed, threw his arms up like someone had just stolen his birthday. The teller stayed calm. Paula appeared in the background, arms crossed, watching like a judge at a spelling bee. I watched it twice. Then I put my phone down and went back to folding socks. Martin called that afternoon. "Funds are secure," Kitty said. "Paula did good. Everything's locked down. He can't touch a cent." "Can we start the clawback?" "We already did." I leaned against the counter. "How long until he knows how bad he screwed up?" "He knows," Martin said. "He just hasn't figured out how deep yet." That night, I sat at my desk with a glass of wine and opened Alvin's old laptop. He hadn't taken it, probably forgot it was synced to his cloud. I typed in the password. Still our anniversary date. Predictable. His desktop was cluttered with spreadsheets, invoices, and a folder labeled T&A. Real subtle. Inside, photos of Taylor, receipts from hotels, and a document titled Exit Plan. I opened it. It was a checklist. Transfer funds, book flights, close accounts, leave note. He even had a line that said, "Brace for fallout, 2 weeks max." He'd given me 2 weeks to fall apart. I emailed the whole folder to myself, then deleted nothing. Let him think he was still in control. The next morning, I was in the middle of transferring some files to Martin when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and froze. Gianna. She stood there in a leather jacket, sunglasses perched on her head, and a forced smile stretched across her face. "Hey," she said, like we just had lunch yesterday. "What are you doing here? I heard about Alvin. Thought you might need, I don't know, a sister." I didn't move. "Who told you?" She shrugged. "People talk." I stepped back just enough for her to walk in. She looked around like she was taking inventory. "You redecorated," she said. "Looks expensive." It was. She sat on the couch without asking. "So, he really left?" "Yup." "Damn." She crossed her legs. "Didn't see that coming." I sat across from her, arms folded. "Cut to the chase." She blinked. "What?" "You didn't drive 2 hours to check on me." She gave a soft laugh. "Fine. I heard he took the money. I figured you might need help. Or maybe we could talk about Grandma's estate." Ah, there it was. "You mean the inheritance she left me?" Her smile tightened. "She left it to you, but it was supposed to be for both of us." I stood up. "You didn't even come to the funeral." "I couldn't," she snapped. "You know why." "No," I said flatly. "I really don't." Her eyes flicked away. "Look, I'm just saying, you have all this money and I'm barely scraping by. Grandma wouldn't have wanted that. She left it to me for a reason. You don't have to be cruel about it." I walked to the door and opened it. "You can go now." She stood up slowly. Alvin reached out, you know. I didn't flinch. Of course he did. He said you're trying to ruin him. I smiled. He ruined himself. He's scared, she said. He asked if I could talk to you, maybe help you see reason. I laughed. You're here to negotiate? I'm here to stop this from getting uglier than it already is. I pulled out my phone and tapped record. Say that again. She narrowed her eyes. What? Say it again. About Alvin. About why you're here. She stared at me, then shook her head. You're unbelievable. No, I said. I'm prepared. She stormed out without another word. I stopped the recording and saved it under a new folder. Insurance. Later that night, I sent the clip to Martin. He called me immediately. She admitted contact with him. That's leverage. She wants money, I said. She won't get it. I opened my laptop and logged into Alvin's email again. He'd started messaging mutual friends, framing me as unstable, saying I'd hidden money, manipulated him, pushed him out. I forwarded every message to Martin and then to myself. I wasn't going to play defense. Not anymore. The next day, Paula called again. You should see the security footage from today. Another meltdown? Worse. He brought Taylor. She tried to charm the teller. He yelled. She cried. It was like watching a bad soap opera. I laughed. Did they get anything? Not a dime. After the call, I checked my email. One unread message from Taylor. Subject. I think I made a mistake. I clicked it open. I didn't know he was lying about everything. If there's a way out of this that leaves him behind, I'll take it. Please. I stared at the screen. Then I typed back, let's talk, but only in person, and only once. I hit send. Then I opened the video of Alvin at the bank one more time. He wanted a new life. He was about to get one, just not the kind he planned. We met at a trendy little bistro Gianna picked. White tablecloths, overpriced cocktails, the kind of place she used to mock when we were younger. She was already seated when I arrived, sipping something pink and pretending not to be annoyed that I was 5 minutes late. You look good, she said, scanning me from head to toe. Divorce agrees with you. We're not divorced, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. He just ran off like a coward. She smiled like we were catching up over coffee. Semantics. The waiter came by, and she ordered another round of whatever she was drinking. I asked for water. So, I said, folding my napkin slowly, you wanted to talk about Grandma. Gianna leaned in, elbows on the table. I've been thinking a lot about her, about how things ended. We never got closure. You mean how you disappeared after siding with Dad during the estate mess, then ghosted me while I planned Mom's funeral alone? She flinched just slightly. That was complicated. No, it wasn't. She stirred her drink, eyes flicking around the room. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. You were 32. She ignored that. Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here because I think we both got hurt by the same people. Grandma played favorites. You know that. She protected me. That's not the same thing. Her voice dropped. She gave you everything. The house, the accounts, the trust. I got nothing. You got silence for 5 years. That was your choice. She leaned back, exhaling hard. Fine. Forget the past. Let's talk about now. Alvin's in trouble. Real trouble. I raised an eyebrow. And you care because? Because he's spiraling, and he's dragging you down with him? I laughed, sharp and short. He's not dragging me anywhere. I'm just saying, she said carefully. Maybe you don't want this to get messy, public. He's already talking to people, telling them you're vindictive, that you hid money, that you're unstable. Is that what he told you when he reached out? She hesitated. He wanted to explain his side. Of course he did. He's desperate, Yvonne. He's asking for a way out. Something clean, quiet. I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and hit record. Gianna's eyes widened. What are you doing? Just making sure I remember this conversation correctly. She sat back, jaw tightening. Seriously? You said he's got nothing now, that I should throw him a bone or he'll make me bleed publicly. Say it again. I didn't mean it like that. But you said it. She stood up suddenly, grabbing her clutch. You're unbelievable. No, I said, calmly stopping the recording. I'm just not stupid anymore. She walked out without another word. I finished my water, paid the check, and sent the recording straight to Martin. The next morning, I met Grayson at a coffee shop downtown. He wore his usual faded hoodie and carried a beat-up laptop bag that looked like it had stories of its own. Still working for that online news site? I asked as we sat down. Freelance now, he said. More freedom, less money, but I get to write what I want. I slid him a flash drive. This is what I want you to write. He plugged it into his laptop and started scrolling through the files, Alvin's emails, the bank footage, the photos, the exit plan document. Damn, he muttered. He really thought he could pull this off. He still thinks he can. Grayson looked up. You want this public? Not yet. I want it ready. Quiet pressure first, then we go loud. He nodded. You're not who I remember. I'm who I had to become. He smiled. Fair enough. That night, I got another email from Taylor. Can we meet? I have something you'll want to see. I told her to pick the place. She chose a neutral coffee shop in a strip mall. Smart. She was already there when I arrived, hair pulled back, no makeup, oversized hoodie. She looked like a different person. I'm not here to defend him, she said as I sat down. I just want out. Then talk. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, and a USB drive. He kept 2 sets of books, she said. One for the firm, one for himself. He used company funds to cover personal expenses, hotels, flights, even my rent for 2 months. Does the firm know? They're starting to suspect. He's been sloppy lately. Why give this to me? Because I believed him when he said he was leaving you for a better life. He made me feel like we were building something. But now, he's just a man with no plan and a lot of lies. I zipped the folder shut. You did the right thing. She nodded, eyes glassy. I just want to be done. You will be. Back home, I sent the files to Martin and Grayson. Then I opened my inbox. One new message from an unknown address. Attached was a PDF. I clicked it open. It was a scanned document, my trust account statement, the one only I should have access to. At the top, in the forwarded by field, was Gianna's name. She'd sent it to Alvin. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. She'd betrayed me. Again. I burst into Martin's office the next morning, holding the printed email like it was on fire. She sent him my trust statement, I said, slamming it onto his desk. She forwarded it. Look at the header. Martin adjusted his glasses and scanned the page. This came from her account? Yep. She accessed it from the client portal somehow. She must have remembered the login from years ago. He leaned back, exhaling. It's not a breach if she had credentials, but it's definitely malicious. She gave him a roadmap, I said. He knows what's left. He knows how much. Martin nodded slowly. Then it's time we stop playing defense. Grayson met me that night at a bar near the station. He looked exhausted, but when I handed him the folder Taylor gave me, his eyes lit up. This is gold, he said, flipping through the documents. Expense reports, duplicate invoices, falsified entries. This isn't just unethical, it's illegal. Can you verify it? Already did. I had a friend at the firm take a peek at their internal systems. Alvin's been under quiet review for weeks. Then let's push it over the edge. Grayson raised an eyebrow. You sure? I met his eyes. I want a quiet takedown, just enough to tip the scales, not a scandal, karma. He smiled. I can do karma. The next day, I got a call from Paula. You're not going to like this, she said. What now? Your sister. She's been sniffing around the bank, asking about the trust, trying to find loopholes. She thinks she can claim part of it? She's trying, Paula said, but the will's solid. Your grandmother made sure of that. Still, keep an eye on her and lock everything down tighter. Already done. I hung up and stared at the ceiling for a long time. Then I called Gianna. She picked up on the second ring. Yvonne, I know what you did. Silence. You sent him my financials. I thought he deserved to know what he was up against. You thought you'd get a cut. She didn't deny it. You always find new ways to be disappointing, I said. You think you're better than me because Grandma picked you? No, I said. I'm better than you because I don't sell out people who still remember the sound of our mother's laugh. I hung up before she could answer. 2 days later, Grayson sent me a draft of the article. Accountant's Dream Life Built on Deception Crumbles in Days. The lead was clean, no names, just enough detail to make people curious, anonymous sources, phrases like misuse of company funds, personal withdrawals, and unexplained financial behavior. It read like karma dressed in a suit. I called him. It's perfect. Hold it for now. Just be ready. He chuckled. I've got it queued. 1 green light and it's live. That night, Taylor and I met again, this time in my backyard. She brought wine. I brought firewood. We sat by the fire pit, the air crisp and quiet. I told him I was done, she said, staring into the flames. He cried, said he had nothing left, that I ruined him. Did you believe him? I think he believes himself. She took a sip of wine. He said you were cruel, that you always controlled everything, that he felt trapped. I laughed. He controlled the finances, the plans, the decisions. I just smiled and nodded. Why'd you stay? Because I thought love meant patience. Turns out it meant silence. Taylor looked at me. Do you regret it? Not anymore. She handed me a flash drive. One more thing. His personal calendar. He marked every date he moved money, labeled them clean sweeps. I held it in my hand like a weapon. Thank you, I said. She smiled. I want him to know what it feels like to be powerless. The next morning, Alvin's firm suspended him. He showed up at my door 2 hours later. I didn't open it, just watched through the peephole as he banged his fist against the wood. Yvonne, he shouted, you think this is over? You think you won? He paced the porch, muttering, then kicked the welcome mat off the step. I cracked the door just enough to slide my phone through and hit record. You stole from me, I said calmly. You lied, you ran, and now you're angry that the consequences are catching up. You're ruining my life. No, I said. You did that all by yourself. He stared at me, breathing hard. I pulled out my phone and tapped send on a single text. You wanted a real life. Welcome to it. Then I closed the door. That night, Grayson hit publish. The article spread fast. People shared it, commented, speculated. By morning, Alvin's name was trending in local circles, and I didn't feel joy. I felt quiet, like a storm had passed, and all that was left was the sound of my own breath. But I wasn't done yet, not until every piece of the lie he built was gone, and not until Gianna knew she'd picked the wrong side again. The charity gala was full of clinking glasses and fake smiles. I wore black, sharp, simple, and surgical. Gianna was already there when I arrived, holding court near the silent auction table, laughing too loudly at something a man in a bow tie said. She spotted me and waved like we were best friends. I didn't wave back. Instead, I walked straight up to her, heels clicking against the marble floor, and stopped just close enough for her to feel it. Can we talk? I said. Her eyes flicked around. Now? Yes, now. She followed me out to the balcony, wineglass in hand, face tight. What's this about? She asked, already annoyed. You know what it's about. She sipped her wine. If this is about Alvin, you gave him my trust documents. You tried to undermine the will. You've been poking around my accounts like a raccoon in a trash bin. She laughed, but it cracked a little. You're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being direct. She rolled her eyes. You've always acted like you're above everyone else, like Grandma's little favorite. She gave me the tools to survive. You sold me out for a man who left me with a note and a zero balance. He said you were going to destroy him. He destroyed himself. She stepped closer, voice low. You think this makes you powerful? You think people are rooting for you? No, I said. But they're watching, and I've made sure they see everything. Her face dropped. I leaned in. You want a piece of something you didn't earn. That's not how this works. She opened her mouth to speak, but I was already walking away. The next morning, Alvin was fired. Grayson texted me a screenshot of the firm's internal memo. Effective immediately. No severance, no reference, just a clean cut. An hour later, Alvin called. I let it ring. Then I sent a single text. You wanted a real life. Welcome to it. He didn't call again. Taylor and I met at a diner that night. She looked lighter, like someone who'd finally put down a heavy bag. He's been texting me nonstop, she said, begging, blaming, offering to run away together. Are you tempted? She laughed. Not even a little. We split fries and went over the last of the files she'd pulled. One in particular stood out, an email from Alvin to a private client offering to restructure their books for a fee. Unlicensed, unethical, illegal. I slid it across the table to her. This is the one. She nodded. Send it to Grayson? Already did. She looked at me for a long second. You're really doing it. I'm finishing it. Later that night, I got a call from Paula. You're going to love this, she said. Tell me. Alvin came in today. Tried to open a new account under a fake business name. Said he was starting over. And? We flagged it, reported it, then politely escorted him out. I smiled. Thank you. Oh, and your sister? She tried to file a claim against the trust. Got laughed out of the lawyer's office. She's persistent. She's desperate. 2 days later, I walked through the old family estate. Dust coated the windows. The air smelled like paper and time. I hadn't been back since the funeral. I stood in the study, where Grandma used to sit with her tea and crossword puzzles, and open the drawer she always kept locked. The key had been in my jewelry box for years. Inside was a letter, my name on the front, in her handwriting. I sat down and opened it. Yvonne, blood might betray you, but circles are made by choice. You don't owe anyone your peace. Love, Grandma. I folded it carefully and placed it in my purse. That night, Grayson published the final article. The headline hit hard. Accountant's dream life, built on deception, crumbles in days. The story spread like wildfire. Anonymous sources, verified documents, a timeline of lies. Alvin's name was everywhere. By morning, he was a pariah. I got a text from Gianna. You didn't have to go this far. I didn't respond. Then another. You'll regret this. I blocked her. Taylor called me from a new number. He's losing it, she said. He showed up at my apartment last night. I didn't let him in. Be careful. I will, but I'm done being scared of him. The next morning, Alvin collapsed outside the bank. Stress, panic, a full-blown breakdown in the middle of the sidewalk. An ambulance took him away. I watched the footage on the local news. He looked small, lost, like a man who'd finally realized the world didn't owe him anything. I didn't feel sorry. I felt finished. That afternoon, I walked into his hospital room. He was half asleep, hooked up to monitors, eyes fluttering open when he saw me. What are you doing here? He croaked. I placed a folded piece of paper on the pillow beside him. You never thought to ask whose life you were in, I said. It was always real to me. Then I walked out, and I didn't look back. The courthouse lobby smelled like old paper and nerves. I sat on the bench near the elevators, flipping through emails while Martin handled the paperwork upstairs. Gianna had filed an official claim against the trust. Petition for equitable distribution, the document read. She was trying to argue that Grandma's inheritance should have been split between us, that I'd manipulated her, that I'd misrepresented the estate. I didn't even need to testify. The judge dismissed it before it hit a hearing. Martin came back down shaking his head, a small smirk on his face. She brought a handwritten note she said Grandma left her, he said. It was dated 2 years after she died. I blinked. She forged it? Sloppily. We walked out together, the late afternoon sun hitting my face like a fresh start. She's not done, I said. No, Martin agreed, but she's out of moves that matter. That night, Taylor texted me. I left him, for good this time, got a new job in Denver. Thank you for not treating me like I was part of his mess. I replied, You weren't. You just got caught in it. An hour later, she called. I have something else, she said. I didn't want to share it until I was sure. Another file? Worse. He doctored records, business ones. He used his position to cover withdrawals from client accounts. I found the backups. My stomach dropped. Are you sure? Yes, I double-checked everything. I can send them to you or directly to your lawyer. Send them to me. She did. The files were damning. A spreadsheet trail of manipulated balances, falsified numbers, and fake vendor payments. Alvin had been stealing from clients, small amounts, spread out, but enough to be criminal. I forwarded everything to Martin. He called me within 10 minutes. These are serious, he said. This isn't just unethical. This is jail time. Do we report it? We don't have to. His firm already started an internal audit. These will just speed things up. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the screen. Do it, I said. Let them have it all. The next morning, I drove to the estate one last time. I stood in the garden. The roses were overgrown, wild now, but still blooming. Grandma used to say, Let the roots fight for space. It makes the flowers stronger. I walked through the house, touching the banister, the kitchen tiles, the edge of the old piano. Then I opened the safe in the study and pulled out the last letter she'd left me. I hadn't read it before. Yvonne, if you're reading this, it means you've chosen the hard path. I'm proud of you. You were always the one who stayed quiet, who held everything together while others fell apart. But I see you. You don't owe anyone your forgiveness, only your future. Love. Grandma. I folded the letter and placed it in my coat pocket. Grayson called me that evening. Your sister's been banned from 2 charity board, and he said, Word's spreading. She'll blame me. Let her. He paused. Also, Alvin's firm contacted me. They want to issue a statement, something vague but firm. They're preparing to notify clients. Good. I'm holding the follow-up article. Your call? Wait until the statement drops, then go. You got it. The next morning, it hit the news. Accounting firm confirms former employee under investigation for financial misconduct. No names, but everyone knew. I watched it unfold from my laptop, sipping tea. My phone buzzed nonstop, calls I didn't answer, messages I didn't read. An hour later, Grayson's article went live. Accountant's dream life built on deception crumbles in days. It exploded. The comments were brutal. The shares doubled by noon. People connected the dots. Clients started posting their own stories. Former co-workers chimed in. Alvin's name was radioactive. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. When I played it back, it was Alvin's voice. You win, he said. I hope it was worth it. I deleted it. That evening, I walked to the lake behind my house, the one Alvin never bothered to visit. I brought the wedding ring, the one he'd picked out in a rush, with a receipt still in the box. I stood at the edge of the dock, held it between my fingers, and let it fall. It hit the water with a soft plunk and disappeared. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. Martin called later that night. "You did it?" he said. "No," I said. "He did it to himself." He paused. "Still, you didn't flinch." I looked out the window, the moonlight catching the edges of the trees. "I flinched," I said. "I just didn't fall." The next morning I changed my last name. No ceremony, no announcement, just a quiet visit to the courthouse and a new signature. I walked out of the building feeling lighter, not free yet, but close. That night, I got an email from Taylor. Just 4 words. He tried again. "Police?" I called Taylor the second I saw the email. "He showed up at my new place," she said. Her voice was tight, clipped. "I didn't tell him where I moved. He must have followed me from work." "Did he come inside?" "No. I locked the door before he got close. He was yelling through the hallway, asking me to talk. Said he needed help, that he was being framed." "Did you call the police?" "I did. They showed up 10 minutes later. He was gone by then." I paced my living room, phone pressed to my ear. "Did you tell them who he was?" "Yes, I gave them everything. His name, what he's being investigated for, the firm's statement, everything." "Good." Taylor exhaled. "I don't think he's stable, Yvonne. He looked off, like he hadn't slept in days." "Do you want me to come there?" "No. I've got a friend staying with me now, but I wanted you to know. He's unraveling." I hung up and called Martin next. "He's escalating," I said. "He tracked her down." "We need to file a restraining order," Martin replied. "For her, and maybe even for you." "Do it." "Already on it." The next morning I got a call from Grayson. "2 former clients just came forward, Naltawan," he said. "They're pressing charges. One of them lost nearly 10 grand. "Are the police involved yet?" "Yeah, they're building a case. Quietly, but it's happening." "Good." He paused. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't sound fine." I looked out the window. The sky was gray, thick with clouds. "I'm tired." "Want me to hold the next article?" "No," I said. "Let it burn." That afternoon, I stopped by Paula's office to sign some final paperwork. She looked up from her desk and raised an eyebrow. "You hear what happened at the bank this morning?" "No." "Alvin showed up again, tried to cash a check from an old client account. The teller recognized him and stalled until security came." "Did they arrest him?" "Not yet, but they flagged it, and now there's a formal report." She slid a folder across the desk and tapped the top. "Everything's locked down, your accounts, the trust, the estate. He can't touch a cent." I signed the last page and closed the folder. "Thank you," I said. Paula gave me a long look. "You sure you're okay?" "No," I said, "but I will be." 2 days later, Alvin was admitted to the hospital. Taylor texted me first. He collapsed outside the courthouse. Ambulance took him in. Panic attack, they said. I didn't respond right away. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, staring at the message. Then Grayson called. "I just got a tip," he said. "He's in the ER. Stress-induced episode. They're holding him for observation." "Is he talking?" "Not yet, but someone said he was muttering your name when they brought him in." I hung up, grabbed my coat, and drove to the hospital. The nurse at the desk looked up as I approached. "Room 214, she said. "He's stable, but we're monitoring him." I nodded and walked down the hall. When I stepped into the room, he was awake, staring at the ceiling, tubes in his arm, machines beeping softly. He turned his head slowly when he saw me. "You came," he said, voice hoarse. I didn't sit. I stayed by the door. "You followed Taylor," I said. "That's stalking." "I needed to talk to her," he rasped. "She has everything. She turned on me." "She saved herself." He closed his eyes. "I lost everything." "You threw it away." "I didn't think it would go this far." I stepped closer, just enough for him to hear me clearly. "You lied, you stole, you ran, and when it all came crashing down, you acted like a victim." His eyes filled with tears. I didn't know what else to do. You could have told the truth. He shook his head. You were always better at that. I placed a folded note on the table beside his bed. What's that? He asked. A closure. Then I walked out. That night I packed a suitcase, just essentials, a few clothes, my laptop, the letter from Grandma. I wasn't running. I was leaving. There's a difference. The next morning I boarded a train. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, not even Martin. I just needed space, a new city, a new name. As the train pulled away, I looked out the window and watched the skyline shrink behind me. My phone buzzed, a final message from Gianna. You got what you wanted. Hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. I blocked her. Then I turned off my phone and let the silence settle. For the first time in months, I breathed without bracing for impact, and I didn't feel guilt. I felt done. The coffee shop was quiet, tucked between a bookstore and a florist, with the kind of wooden chairs that creaked when you shifted in them. I'd been coming here every morning since I arrived in the city. No one knew me. I liked it that way. I was halfway through a cappuccino when my phone buzzed. Taylor. He showed up at my job, again. I filed the report. They took him in this time. I stared at the screen for a second, then typed back, Me. Are you safe? Taylor. Yeah, manager walked him out. Cops met him in the parking lot. I took a slow breath and texted Martin. Me. He's been arrested, Taylor confirmed. He replied almost instantly. Martin. Finally, charges are stacking. He'll be in court soon. You don't need to testify unless you want to. I didn't answer. I just sat there, watching the steam rise from my cup. Later that afternoon, I met Martin in person. He'd driven in, said he had something to give me. We sat in a small park, benches facing a fountain. He handed me a manila envelope. What's this? I asked. Final documentation. Everything's closed. Trust is secure. Estate is sealed. Your name change is processed. You're officially you again. I opened it and flipped through the pages. Everything was neat, clean, legal. No more loose ends? I asked. He shook his head. Not unless you count your sister. I smirked. She's not a loose end. She's a dead battery. He chuckled. You gonna stay here? For now. He stood up, brushing off his coat. You did good, Yvonne. I didn't do good, I said. I did what I had to. Sometimes that's the same thing. That evening, I walked by the lake near my new apartment. There was a small dock, unassuming, just wide enough for two people to sit with their feet hanging off the edge. I took off my shoes and sat down, the wooden planks warm under me. I pulled the last thing from my coat pocket, my old wedding band. I'd kept it, not out of sentiment, but because I wasn't ready to let go of the version of myself who wore it. I held it up, watched the light catch on the metal, then tossed it into the water. It sank without a sound. The next morning, I opened my laptop and logged into the site for my new consulting business. The logo was simple. My name, just my first name, followed by the word solutions. Clients had already started reaching out. Small businesses, women in messy divorces, people who needed help untangling their lives. I replied to each one personally. I didn't want to save people. I wanted to show them how to save themselves. A few days later, Taylor called. They're holding him without bail, she said. Too many charges, fraud, harassment, misuse of funds, the whole list. Good. I thought I'd feel better, she said, but I just feel done. That's better than bitter. She was quiet for a moment. You think he ever really loved either of us? No, I said. I think he loved the way we made him feel. She exhaled. That sounds about right. You okay? I think so. I'm moving again. Fresh start. This time I'm picking the city, not the man. Send me the zip code, I said. I'll mail you a bottle of wine. That weekend, I got a letter. No return address, just my name, written in neat, familiar handwriting. Inside was a single page. Yvonne. I'm sorry. I know you won't believe me, and maybe that's fair. But I didn't know how to stop once I started. I thought I could fix it before it all crashed. I never wanted to hurt you like this. You were the best part of my life. I just didn't know how to deserve you. I folded the letter and placed it in the drawer of my desk. I didn't need to forgive him. I just needed it to be over. That night, I met Grayson for dinner. He was in town chasing another story, something about a local politician and a shady land deal. You look different, he said as we sat down. Haircut, I shrugged. No, it's something else. I looked out the window. I think I'm just not carrying him anymore. He nodded. That'll do it. We ate, laughed, talked about everything but the past. When he walked me home, he paused at the door. You gonna write about it? He asked. Maybe. If you do, I'll read every word. Back inside, I sat at my desk and opened a blank document. I typed the first line. He left me with nothing but a note and a mess, and I turned it into a blueprint. Then I saved it, not because it was done, but because I was.